take this opportunity to welcome you all to this great initiative of the Pediatric Society of Moradabad and Selgupta Institute to celebrate the World Prematurity Day. I congratulate each and every one of you who has taken out time for this very, very important topic to understand and to give their participation in elimination of this preventable, very much preventable and avoidable cause of blindness in children, and preventing loss of blind ears, which are much more in children. I again welcome all of you to this meeting and hope that we have a very, very good interaction and a very fruitful discussion today. It's my privilege today to welcome the first speaker for the evening, and that is Dr. B.K. Datta, who is a consultant pediatrician in the city of Moradabad. There's nobody who does not know him. He has done his DCH in 75 and then his MD Pediatrics in 1977 from Motilal Nehru Medical College, Allahabad. And he has been not only practicing pure pediatrics, he's also made a lot of landmarks. We are proud to have him on the panel today. And without much ado, I request Dr. Datta to start his address. His topic today is ROP, Pediatrician's Perspective. Over to you, Dr. Datta.
Thank you for the kind words. Retinopathy of prematurity, pediatrician's perspective. How much a pediatrician should know about this disease? I will just relate you to one case. Every one of you keeps on seeing such cases. A baby aged 6 months comes to me that born 1,300 grams, admitted to a nursery. After 10 days discharge, the pediatrician said that you come after a week's time. And as usual, they did not go. They go to pediatrician after 2.5 months. He says that you go to a eye surgeon for checkup. The eye surgeon says you are too late. And the patients, they take the child to Delhi and here and there and get operated somewhere at Hyderabad. At 6 months of age, they come to me और पूछते हैं कि डॉक्टर साहब इसकी नजर तो ठीक हो जाएगी. We should know everything about this. This has given a lot of insight thinking to me that had the proper guidance would have been there to the parents, this situation would not have come. And they can come and complain also later to me, why did you not refer in time? Because there is a time limit. And what should be our timing of intervention? What can be done? Because now pediatric retina specialists are there in the town. They are available. So it is just referring them and getting your things done. Right from my student days, I have been told that oxygen is good. Oxygen is good, and the people, the public, the adults and the child, everyone, parents have a feeling that oxygen is a very good thing. Oxygen was discovered somewhere in 1770, 10 years before the French Revolution. So it's very recent, not very late. And they called it God. They called it, it can make a dead man alive. They said that a child who didn't have born and didn't have a spontaneous respiration, if you gave it to it, the child got alive. And they said that it's doing wonders. This continued till 1940. And people were giving oxygen here and there to every baby. And one thing we realized in the 1940s, that definitely this was doing a benefit. And the cases of cerebral palsy, we call it hypoxic Neurological injury in the baby was getting less. This was the benefit. 1950s, we further giving started oxygen more and more because APGAR score came. APGAR tells if the baby is pink, give more marks. If the baby is like this, blue, give less marks. So we started giving more and more oxygen. Now the pediatricians, look, the oxygen was not there in India at that time. The pediatricians all over the world started reporting in 60s that we are getting more and more cases of blindness, which we can't cure, we can't do anything, but they are definitely in the babies born around 1.3 kg, 1300 grams or less. And definitely it is because of the oxygen toxicity. When I was doing my residency in 74, 75, 76, and 77, 4 years, we were told intermittent oxygen, and this will prevent you from the blindness of the child. And we called it at that time retrolental fibroplasia. And today we call it retinopathy of prematurity, because we had known that this is more in the, I will go, yes, the risk factors. Everything you see in your nursery, in a baby aged 1200 grams or 1300 grams, everything you see in your nursery are among the risk factors. Whether it is respiratory distress or apnea, oxygen we are giving to all the babies. We are giving platelets, we are giving blood transfusions, we are treating sepsis. It's a scenario in all the babies. So be careful about this. Weight, I have written 1200 grams. No, even if a baby is 1.6 kilograms of weight, ये आपको बार बार हेडेक दे रहे हैं कि आपने देर लगा दिया, बच्चा आंख नहीं खोल रहा, बच्चा तो बेहोश है, 6 दिन हो गए पड़े हुए, इतने पैसे खर्च हो गए, इतनी दवाइयां लग गई, कुछ करो. रिमेंबर, ऑल दीज पीपल, चाहे वो न्यूसेंस है जैसा भी है, he has gone through difficult time in his that period. Refer him and just wash your hands away. Be safe, play safe. It is not कि 1200 ग्राम है, 1400 ग्राम के बच्चे भी हो सकती है. So these are the risk factors, and these risk factors count for almost every baby admitted in our nurseries. So we have been telling it oxygen toxicity, and oxygen was supposed to be God. It was best thing, and now we are telling the oxygen toxicity. Oxygen toxicity is, remember, आजकल बहुत आ रहा है एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स, ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस. व्हाट इज ऑक्सीजन टॉक्सिसिटी? बॉडी में ऑक्सीजन गई, सेल के अंदर गई, जाकर के उसने अपनी एनर्जी दी और जो काम भी किया, करने के बाद कुछ वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट बना. जो वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट है उसके डिस्पोजल का काम है, and that is very harmful to the tissues. But in these low birth weight babies, preterm babies, this defense mechanism against this, we call it oxygen waste product, you can say it. We call it, I will just tell you some name. So free radicals. So these have to be taken out of the body, neutralized. Otherwise, they are going to damage the tissues, and this is what happens in these children. If you take the eye जैसे पीछे इसके सेंटर है मैकुला, दोनों तरफ से वेसल्स आ रही हैं, एंड 28 वीक्स पे एक लैंडमार्क है, 32 लाइक दिस पैरामीटर्स इनके कि इस लाइन तक, इतने दिन तक यहां तक आएगा वेस्कुलराइजेशन, इतने तक यहां तो आएगा. सपोज द बेबी इज बोर्न 32 वीक्स, दैट स्टॉप्स देयर. Whenever we get a preterm baby, बहुत सारे अंदर से फैक्टर्स हैं जो बच्चे को ग्रो करने के लिए. Sometimes now we are giving even the growth hormone to these preterm babies. So there is one like जो arteries हैं जो रुक गई, the body sends the endothelial growth factor. Since it is vascular, we call it vascular endothelial growth factor for the stimulation of those vessels कि और बढ़े, जाके हमारा काम पूरा करें. But somehow they cause wrong vascularization. The next speaker will tell you about this. I have told you definitely because there is something in the treatment also, because this vascular endothelial growth factor is giving the wrong vascularization, which in the later part will cause the retinopathy and detachment of retina. So this causes the abnormal vasculogenesis. So I will go one slide behind this. This I have covered now. सिंपल टर्म्स टू रिमेंबर, बड़े कंफ्यूज होते हैं, ये SpO2 क्या है, SaO2 क्या है, ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस क्या है, FiO2 क्या है. SpO2 इज सिंपल कि जो हम पल्स ऑक्सीमीटर लगाते हैं, पेरिफेरल कैपिलरी ब्लड ऑक्सीजन यू मेजर इज SpO2. SaO2 क्या है? यस, एवरीथिंग डिपेंड्स ऑन द SaO2, लेकिन हम कर नहीं सकते बार बार. इट इज द आर्टीरियल पंचर करें, उसमें से ब्लड लें, और आर्टीरियल ऑक्सीजन कितनी है, पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ ऑक्सीजन इन द आर्टरीज कितना है, बिकॉज इट इज गोइंग टू द टिश्यूज. वी कांट डू इट एवरीथिंग इन आवर नर्सरी एवरी डे. तो इन्होंने किया क्या है कि दैट आर्टीरियल ऑक्सीजन का कैपिलरी ऑक्सीजन से कोरिलेशन करके हमको बता दिया कि एडल्ट में, जैसे आजकल तो घर घर में ऑक्सीमीटर है. वी डिडंट हैव ऑक्सीमीटर इन द 90s. Before 90 we don't have oximeter pulse in our nursery. We are just going without this. तो इन्होंने बता दिया कि जो एडल्ट में है आजकल की 95 से 100 के बीच में रहेगा. एवरीबॉडी नोज इट these days of corona, and the oximeters are available in every house these days. Oxidative stress I have just discussed with you. What is FiO2? Remember, FiO2 is जो हमने एयर इनहेल करी उसमें कितने परसेंट ऑक्सीजन है. लाइक एयर इज 21% ऑक्सीजन, सो आई विल कॉल FiO2 0.21. सपोज हमने थोड़ी ऑक्सीजन मिला दी इसमें 16%, हमने कर दिया इसको 40%, तो इट बिकम्स FiO2 0.4. सो दैट सिंपल थिंग वी शुड रिमेंबर फॉर आवर फर्दर डिस्कशन. प्योर ऑक्सीजन हैज बीन गिवन टिल 1990, एंड आई टेल यू कि 1990 के पहले, दोस्त who have seen the time, the pulse oximeters were not there. There was no oxygen in the country. छोटे छोटे सिलेंडर आते थे भर भर के, और उसको लेकर के वार्ड में लोग भाग भाग के घूमते रहते थे. And like this we have plenty of oxygen now. There was a pediatrician, my pediatrician friends will remember his name, S. Ramji. He said the country doesn't have oxygen, the rural health centers don't have anything. Why can't we do with the air? He started restricting the babies with the air, and it was wonderful. The whole world appreciated. Many countries started this. They said the air is much better than pure oxygen. Many pediatricians, जब उन्हें लगा कि इसके रेटिनोपैथी हो रही है, ब्लाइंडनेस हो रही है, they started hyposaturating their children, neonates. अब वो हाइपो से क्या हुआ, ROP get less, and other disease, that is the bronchopulmonary dysplasia, it got less, but the cases of cerebral palsy increased, and the cases of death also increased. So they said too little we cannot afford. Then too much, we have already known that too much causes ROP and BPD. So we have to go somewhere just right. What is the right amount of oxygen? Oh, sorry. What is the right amount of oxygen? Look, adults की बात छोड़ दो आजकल. 85 to 89%. 85 to 89% is too little. We are preventing ROP, we are preventing bronchopulmonary dysplasia, but giving more cerebral palsy and death. If you are going above 95, that is too much. For that preterm unit, I am talking of the preterm unit. If you are going above 95, you are just preventing the child from the cerebral palsy, but you are more going in the danger of ROP. So what is just right for that very baby weighing 1200, 1300 grams in your nursery is 90 to 94%. It is very difficult to monitor. All the countries, many associations have given their different guidelines. You can follow whatever you like, but this is the standing for the last 5 years was given by the Korean Neonatal Association, and still holds very true. Many people practice it, and still I would say that you do whatever you feel like. But remember, our lesson for today is that if we are dealing with these babies, my next speaker will be telling you, speakers, what is the right time for reference. Referring them after 3 months has no meaning. We have lost everything. The peace of the parents and of course the financial strains. So I think that with this I go to the next speaker.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you so much, Dr. Datta. We will not be taking questions now. We will go straight away to the next talk, Dr. Abhishek Vashne. And meanwhile, while Dr. Abhishek is sharing his screen, I will introduce him to you. Dr. Abhishek did his MBBS and MS from Aligarh Muslim University. And after this, he obtained a fellowship in cataract and microsurgery before he went into retina. This he did from Delhi Shroff Eye Center. Then he went to Shankar Nethralaya, where he pursued his super specialty fellowship in vitreoretina. Dr. Abhishek, you can share your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
And after that, before he joined CL Gupta, he had a stint at Tirupati Eye Center, Noida. And he has made us proud by various national and international publications and a lot of publications. He's recently published a lot on diabetic retinopathy, endophthalmitis, and retinopathy of prematurity is also one of his areas of interest. So over to you, Dr. Abhishek, for your presentation. His talk will be today on all about ROP, what, when, whom to screen. Dr. Abhishek.
I would like to thank Dr. Datta sir for making my work little bit easy, because most of the things that he has spoken in his presentation, I will be repeating some of them. So before I start my presentation, I would like to say that I have no financial interest, and yeah, there is a small video regarding retinopathy of prematurity.
The retina has two areas, peripheral and central retina, called macula. Retinopathy of prematurity is a
So the video showed that how the retina develops in a premature, baby and it tells about the various stages of the development of the retina. Mostly by 36 weeks of the gestation, the nasal retina is vascularized, and till 40 weeks of gestation, the temporal retina is also vascularized. So this is in short regarding the pathogenesis of the retinopathy of prematurity in utero. When the IGF and IGF-1 and VEGF levels are normal, then there is normal vascular growth. But when the baby is born prematurely, vessel growth stops, and it causes hypoxia. And in the anterior retina, which is non-vascularized, is ischemic, which releases this VEGF load is decreased, then normal vascular growth occurs in the retina, and this is known as the resolution of ROP. But if it keeps on increasing, then proliferative retinopathy occurs and the retinal detachment occurs. Talking in short about the various zones of the retina in which we have screened retinopathy, in which we screen the babies. Zone 1 is defined with a center from the disc to the area with the radius of twice the diameter from the disc to the macula, and the zone 2 is defined till the nasal retina, and zone 3 is left over temporal retina, is the zone 3. Some various stages of the ROP are depicted in this slide. As you can see that if there is a demarcation line, that is zone 1. This is stage 1. In stage 2, we have a ridge. Stage 3 has a neovascularization over that ridge. Stage 4 is further divided into two types. Stage 4A, which is the peripheral retinal detachment. Stage 4B, which is the central retinal detachment. And stage 5 is a closed funnel retinal detachment. If the vessels are not reaching to the peripheral retina, and there is no demarcation line, then we call it as a immature retina. The few important things regarding this disease is which are very aggressive and the various stages which are very aggressive are the plus disease, in which we have a dilated and tortuous vessels, and also the other manifestations which of the plus disease are that the pupils are very poorly dilated. These are dilated and engorged iris vessels, media haze is present, and retinal hemorrhages are there. In this picture, you can see that the dilated and tortuous vessels in the pupillary margin, they can be seen. Apart from that, there is one more entity, APROP, which is known as aggressive posterior retinopathy of prematurity. In this disease, there are no particular stages. It is a plus disease along with vessels ending in zone 1 and zone 2 posteriorly. Very rapid progression of ROP ending in RD in 2 to 3 weeks. And this type of ROP specifically skipped stages, and it can directly lead to fractional retinal detachment within 2 to 3 weeks. If this ROP is missed, then we can have stage 5 ROP straightforwardly. So for treating these types of ROPs, the strategy is to catch them early or on time, that is within 20 days. Aggressive laser treatment which should be employed early and within 1 to 2 days of the diagnosis. If there are any systemic factors like anemia, or the patient is having septicemia, or there is respiratory distress syndrome, then this needs to be corrected, and these patients need a follow-up for later recurrences. So in short, we have to run with this disease. National Neurology Forum has laid down the guidelines for the screening, and they have suggested that if the gestation age of the baby is less than 34 weeks, or if the birth weight is less than 1,750 grams, then these patients need to be screened. Or if the birth weight is between 1,750 to 2,000 grams, and the gestation age is between 34 to 36 weeks, and if the risk factors are present, then we need to screen these babies. For most of them, if the gestational age is more than 28 weeks, then the first retinal examination should be done at 30 days. And if the birth weight is less than 1.2 kgs or gestational age is less than 28 weeks, then the retinal examination should be done at 2 to 3 weeks. This strategy is for the early identification of APROP. The risk factors, as Sir has mentioned in his slides, are sepsis, respiratory distress syndrome, multiple blood transfusions, multiple pregnancies, or prolonged oxygen support. So we follow a 30-day strategy in which the first examination of the eye should be definitely done by 30 days of life of the premature infant and day 20 for the very preterm infants. This is great for the follow-up of the patients, but this might seem a little bit complicated for my fellow pediatricians. So to cut it short, I have mentioned it that if the disease is in zone 1, then usually the follow-up is in 1 week. If the disease is in zone 2, then the follow-up is usually in 2 weeks. And if the stage is higher, then the follow-up is in 1 week. And in the disease in zone 3, then the usual follow-up is in 3 weeks. And if the stage is higher, then the follow-up is in 1 to 2 weeks.
When our chefs wake up on time, our kitchen works on time. When our kitchen works on time, the food leaves for the plane on time. When the hostesses wake up on time, they do their makeup on time. They look oh so pretty on time. When our ground force does their work on time, our pilots take off on time. Things on time. We get our work done on time. And when we get our work done on time, we become the world's most powerful economy on time. On time, is a wonderful thing.
This was a short video of Indigo air flight. It was a promotional video, and it shows us the importance of being on time. So, reciprocal patients of retinopathy of prematurity, if ROP referral is done on time, that is within 30 days, then the babies are screened on time. And if they are screened on time, then they are treated on time. And if they are treated on time, then we can save their vision on time. On time is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek, and thank you for finishing on time also. And that was very interesting and very important information for all pediatricians. We still have about 2 to 3 minutes for discussion. If there are any questions for Dr. Abhishek, yes.
Ma'am, I'm Dr. Ravi Khanna from Bareilly.
Yes, sir.
What is the best age when you start referring a patient for ROP screening?
So, Dr. Abhishek, did you get the question? Would you like to take the question?
Yeah.
So, babies in the nursery, premature babies there. So, what is the right time? He is still undergoing the treatment. So, what should we say? It should be 20 days. What should be when we start screening for it?
Sir, when the birth weight is less, that is, if it is less than 1,200 grams, then it should be early.
Approximate?
Within 2 to 3 weeks.
Within 2 to 3 weeks. So many times the problem is the pupils, they don't get dilated with the agent that we give to dilate the pupils. So what do you suggest in that case? So doctors are going to see.
Sir, having some component of plus disease. Because in my slides I mentioned that if there is a plus disease, then in that the pupils are not dilating. So for the non-dilating pupils, we have to be very cautious. And these types of patients, they need an early referral and examination. Because otherwise also, if there is no plus disease or there is no iris neovascularization, then we might wait and watch. But otherwise, in my practice in last 6 years here at C.L. Gupta Institute, fully dilate. My fellow speakers will be telling about the various concentrations of the drugs that we use for dilating of the pupils.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek. We'll go straight away for the next talk, and that is by Dr. Neha Sharma. Dr. Neha has done her MBBS and MS from Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, Wardha. Dr. Neha is presently pursuing her comprehensive fellowship with us, and she's working with a lot of interest in the ROP department, and she will be introducing us to where and how to go about ROP screening. So Dr. Neha, she has a short presentation, so I request you to start with your presentation straight away.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good evening to one and all present here. So now that Dr. Abhishek has beautifully explained to us about what, when, and whom to screen, I would be talking about where and how to go about ROP screening. So coming to where to screen these premature infants, preterm infants who have not been discharged from the sick newborn care unit or the NICU must be examined in the unit, whereas discharged infants can be followed up in the ophthalmologist clinic. The ROP screening kit comprises of a pediatric speculum, wire vectis, also known as the pediatric depressor, a syringe and a cannula, irrigating fluid, dilating drops, topical anesthetic drops, and cotton, all of which is supposed to be sterile. It also comprises of the indirect ophthalmoscope and the 20 diopter lens, which is used to examine the retina of the infant, a prescription and a ROP documentation form, which documents the findings of both the eyes individually, and it also includes the date of follow-up, which is clearly mentioned. So coming to the requirements in the NICU, a list of the number of babies to be screened or those who need treatment must be kept ready, and an assisting nurse should be available, and the nurse should ensure that the head of the child is properly stabilized, as can be seen in the photograph on the slide. The identification tag must be placed on the wrist or the leg of the baby, and it must mention the name, the MR number, the age of the child, the gender of the child, and the ROP form must clearly mention the name, the gestational age, the chronological age, and the postmenstrual age of the child besides the birth weight and any associated systemic conditions. So we have to ensure that the vitals of the child, that is the oxygen saturation and the pulse rate, are monitored. Thus, we need a pulse oximeter and a monitor. The place for the examination must be warm and clean to prevent hypothermia in the child. A suction device or a Ryle's tube must be kept ready in case the child tends to aspirate. And one trolley should be kept handy to keep the laser machine, and a switchboard to connect the laser machine must be available. So we have to ensure that the child is fed and burped properly at least an hour prior to the examination, and the child is properly placed in diapers. We have to ensure that the pupil is adequately dilated, and IV cannula may be necessary for IV fluid. So after patient identification, we have to ensure that the oxygen saturation and the pulse rate of the child is adequate, and hence begins the process of examination. But before moving on to the process, I would just like to mention about the preparation of the dilating drops. So the ROP drops that are used for pupillary dilatation should be in the concentration of 2.5% phenylephrine and 0.4% tropicamide. However, the commercially available phenylephrine and tropicamide are available in the concentration of 5% and 0.8% respectively. Hence, we use 2.5 ml of this Tropicacil Plus and mix it with 2.5 milliliter of any lubricating eye drop, and the final concentration thus produced can be used for dilatation of the eyes in the infant. So we have to instill one drop for at least 2 to 3 times, which should be at least 5 minutes apart, and this is sufficient to dilate the pupils in around 15 to 20 minutes, and the effect remains for about 30 to 45 minutes. We have to ensure to wipe out any excess eye drop that spills onto the cheeks with a sterile cotton or a tissue, as it can be absorbed from the skin and can cause tachycardia or tachypnea in the child. So coming on to the logistics of the screening process, we can fix a day or a particular time in a week, and one person in the NICU should be contactable at all times. We have to ensure that the pupils are dilated at least 30 minutes before the screening process begins, and a register of the babies to be screened or actually screened at the NICU or who are being referred to the ophthalmologist should be maintained. So we have to ensure that the baby is comfortable and is swaddled as shown in the photograph. After ensuring adequate dilatation, we have to use the pediatric eye speculum to retract the eyelids, which ensures greater visualization of the retina, and thus begins the process of screening. The findings and decision about management at each screening, including the date for the next screening if needed, must be documented in the medical records, and the date for the next screening must be communicated to the parents verbally as well as in writing. Thus, I would like to say that treating ROP needs H4, that is head, hands, arms, and obviously a heart. So from blindness to sight, we as ophthalmologists and pediatricians can make all the difference. So our dream for ROP is that no premature baby shall escape screening. However, when will this dream not come true? If there is no referral, if there is poor counseling of the parents, or if there is delayed treatment on the behalf of ophthalmologists. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha, for this quick presentation. This was most relevant for today's talk, today's seminar. Okay, so since there are no more questions, we'll go to the next talk, and that would be by Dr. Sonali Raj Singh. And I ask Dr. Sonali to start sharing her screen while I introduce you. Dr. Sonali has done her MBBS and MS from LLRM Medical College, Meerut. MBBS she has done from Bangalore, And she has also done FICO, that is Fellowship of International Council of Ophthalmology. And she's also been a gold medalist and a university topper. We are proud to have her as a retina fellow in our department of vitreoretina under our two consultants. Dr. Sonali will be talking on Trinetra, the new pediatric Trinetra Neo, the pediatric fundus camera, which is a powerful tool in our armamentarium. And I request Dr. Sonali to start her presentation.
Thank you for your kind words, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. So my talk will be on Trinetra Neo, the pediatric fundus camera. It has been serving as a very useful and a powerful tool for screening of ROP babies. Okay, so about the global problem of prematurity, approximately worldwide annually, 15 million preterm neonates are born. Out of those 15 million, 3.5 million babies are born in India annually. So the incidence of ROP ranges from 20% to 51.9% among low birth weight infants. And out of these, 7 to 15% ROP neonates actually require active intervention. So currently, the developing economies are experiencing a mixture of ROP first epidemic pattern, that is poor or no control of supplemental oxygen. The second epidemic pattern, that is evolving but uneven care of the premature infants, where larger and even more mature infants are also affected. This was stated by Darlow et al. In his article in 2013. He also stated that the main reason for this third epidemic is not the lack of knowledge, but actually translating this knowledge into practice, which is a huge challenge. So it is safe to say that highest incidence of ROP is present in developing nations like India, China, and Pakistan. A brief about ROP screening methods. Binocular indirect ophthalmoscope. As we are all aware, this is the gold standard in screening of premature infants for ROP. But unfortunately, only a trained ophthalmologist can operate this instrument, and thus it restricts the particular ophthalmologist or a retina expert to a single NICU. And most bios do not record images or videos, and thus mass screening of ROP using skilled operators is not really possible with this instrument. Thus comes the role of wide field digital retinal imaging, the Trinetra Neo pediatric fundus camera. It provides a comprehensive 120 to 130 degree wide field image of the pediatric retina. Even the non-physician technicians can be trained to operate this device, and recording of videos and images is possible on the machine, and thus it makes mass telemedicine to screen ROP babies an easy job. I want to highlight on the fact that when an ROP expert screens a baby, then we tend to draw the retinal findings, and these findings may have some subjective variation between two ROP experts. But this problem is eliminated when we have a digital fundus picture of the pediatric retina. So the challenge is big. How do we meet the target? In India, approximately there are 7,000 neonatologists and approximately 507 NICUs. But only we have approximately 1,000 retina specialists and only 20 centers equipped to have a proper ROP treatment and intervention. So fortunately, we have some good news on the aspect that we recently inaugurated our ROP clinic, formally officially inaugurated ROP clinic at CLJI, and on 8th of October. Some of the pictures of the function are on your screens. So more about this new advanced technology which CLGI has just acquired. So this is the affordable retinal imaging device, and which has a ergonomic design. It's a compact, lightweight, and a portable machine. It is very telemedicine compatible and as a built-in LED light source. So it provides a wide range of view of the retina of approximately 120 degrees. So this machine is kept on the baby's cornea, and several images are taken by our trained technicians. A little about the system components. This machine is very handy and user friendly and comes with in a trolley suitcase. So, being a lightweight machine, our trained technicians can assemble this machine even in a small NICU settings, and thus make they are capable of screening multiple babies in several NICUs, even at a stretch in a particular day. So there was an abstract which was published in ARVU 2016. They compared this machine Trinetra Neo with another machine, that is the RedCam shuttle, which is actually an expensive version marketed by a different company. The principal investigator of this study was Dr. Anand Vinekar, who has been a pioneer in screening and treating ROP babies even in the rural areas and in Bangalore and Karnataka. So they found that in this study that the machine, the Trinetra Neo pediatric fundus camera, has a sensitivity of approximately 90% and specificity of approximately 78%. So it is all in all, it is a pretty good device compared to the RedCam shuttle, which is, as I've mentioned, pretty expensive, and very less centers have acquired the machine. So some of the pictures which are available, which are seen on your screen as the usage of Trinetra Neo camera in NICUs. Even the Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram, which comes under the aegis of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they have mentioned ROP as a health condition amongst 30 other conditions which require early detection and early intervention to prevent blindness. So I would like to conclude my talk with a short a fact or a pearl. Every 2 hours, 3 infants reach threshold for treatment in India. So we need to be more conscious, and I would like to share a short clip with all of you. So a greater awareness training is required among pediatricians, ophthalmologists, nurses, and parents to tackle this huge challenge of ROP blindness.
You will have to share the sound.
हमें रेटिना का 120 डिग्री तक का व्यू मिलता है। साथ ही साथ जो हमें इस कैमरा से एडवांटेज है वो ये कि हम इसको टेलीमेडिसिन में इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। हम पेशेंट्स के क्लिनिकल डायग्नोसिस, ट्रीटमेंट और फॉलोअप में भी इस कैमरे का इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। जब पेशेंट्स हमारे पास बार बार आते हैं विजिट के लिए तो हम फोटो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन कर पेशेंट्स को फॉलोअप के बारे में भी बता सकते हैं। साथ ही साथ अगर पेशेंट किसी और दूसरे डॉक्टर के पास भी जाता है तो फोटोग्राफ्स होने की वजह से दूसरा डॉक्टर भी इन सब चीजों को अच्छे से समझ सकता है।
रेटिनोपैथी ऑफ प्रीमेच्योरिटी का ग्रेटेस्ट चैलेंज अनस्क्रीन्ड आरओपी के नवजात शिशु है। आरओपी इज अ प्रिवेंटेबल ब्लाइंडनेस। त्रिनेत्रा नियो एक पोर्टेबल मशीन है जो ग्रामीण इलाकों में भी जा सकती है और छोटे नवजात बच्चों के पर्दे की स्क्रीनिंग कर सकती है। ये एक लाइट वेट मशीन है। इसमें एलईडी लाइट सोर्स यूज करा गया है जो कि बच्चों के लिए काफी सेफ है। पीडियाट्रिशियन के लिए ये काफी लाभकारी मशीन है। अगर हम सब मिलकर कोशिश करें तो बच्चों को दृष्टिहीन होने से बचाया जा सकता है।
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonali. And now again, we will ask everybody to unmute yourself if you have any questions for this presentation.
Hello. May I ask a question?
Good evening, Dr. Ravi Khanna.
Yes.
Dr. Pradeep here. Sir, how are you?
I am fine. Dr. Pradeep, may I ask a question, please?
Ha, sir. You can ask.
This the machine Trinetra Neo, it may not be available everywhere, and we cannot arrange all the time. Na, ki the day is coming and the different set of premature babies are there. Some are getting it done on this day, some will require after a week. So at times these things is not practically possible. Is there something app or something where image of the retina can be taken after the pupillary dilatation and can be sent to you for assessment or something? Is there something app or some method there?
No, sir. I am coming on that point.
We can take a image
Sir,
on our iPhone.
Actually, this machine is not available in complete UP, sir.
Can it be done somewhere?
Yeah, it can be arranged at the Bareilly at your doorstep, sir. No problem.
Achha.
So that why we presented this CME, we can arrange some days like Thursday, any day, which suits to all the Bareilly pediatrician. Our team will come to the Bareilly and they will do the screening from your NICU.
Okay,
so
will do. And that's a good idea.
All the logistic I will discuss later with you, sir, personally. And if all the pediatricians are ready, then we are ready to take the lead.
Okay. Thank you. Good point. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Welcome, sir.
So much, Dr. Ravi, for bringing out this very important point about the need for remote teleophthalmology. And for this, I would be requesting Dr. Rohini to present her next paper on changing trends in the treatment and medical legal challenges in ROP screening. Dr. Rohini has done her MBBS and MS from Manipal University, and then she did her post-graduation from Sir Gangaram Hospital, New Delhi. Then she has super specialized in FNB, again from Sir Gangaram Hospital, and in vitreoretina. And she has also done her FICO and also European School of Advanced Studies in Ophthalmology is where she has done her advanced courses in medical retina again. Before joining CL Gupta, she had worked at Sharpsight Eye Hospital, Delhi, and also at Ramakrishna Mission Charitable Hospital and Goyal Eye Institute, all in New Delhi. And since then, since 2018, she has been with us, and we are proud to have her as a part of our faculty. So she will be taking this very, very important topic with a lot of questions people might be having in their minds about ROP and what could be the possible implications of the remote the testing and the screening mechanism which has come with the new technology. Over to you, Dr. Rohini.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Good evening, everyone. Each doctor attending this webinar has the power to change the current scenario of retinopathy of prematurity in India. I welcome all of you in this journey of change. So today's topic is also changing trends in treatment of retinopathy of prematurity and medico-legal challenges. So as the early treatment retinopathy of prematurity study has recommended some options for treatment, that is, whenever the retina is involved in the center, like macular involvement, and there is present of plus disease. These two scenarios are very much crucial for treatment. So we have to go to early treatment, or else in case there is only stage 1, stage 2 involvement, and there is no plus disease, we can still follow up these babies. So as Dr. Dutt has already told and highlighted that collateral health problems like presence of anemia, sepsis, hypothermia, apnea, and weight gain have to be taken into account before starting the treatment and simultaneously. When to follow up a retinopathy of prematurity baby? The lesser the developed retina, that means the physiological development of the retina, if it is less, the stage is more. That means that the vessels are developing towards the vitreous, or there is tortuosity of the vessels and dilated vessels, that means presence of pre-plus disease. We have to closely follow up these babies, that is 3 days to 1 week or less than 1 week. Rationale for treatment: stimulus of abnormal vessels come from hypoxic avascular retina. So in ROP babies, the retina is not developed. As we have seen after seeing all these presentations, we have come to know that the peripheral retina is not developed. Because of the hypoxic avascular retina, the vascular endothelial growth factor secretion goes up in the serum. And so the rationale for the treatment is that we have to reduce this VEGF. How can we reduce these VEGF? Is by destruction of avascular retina by means of laser, or providing anti-VEGF to the eye, that is eye drops, that intravitreal anti-VEGF injections. Treatment of ROP. Still, the treatment of ROP remains laser, that is the gold standard, and it is delivered through laser indirect ophthalmoscope delivery system. The newer upcoming treatments are usage of intravitreal anti-VEGF agents, which are ranibizumab and bevacizumab. The development of peripheral retinal vessels continued after the treatment of intravitreal bevacizumab. But conventional laser therapy, we are actually destroying the peripheral retina. So there is a loss of visual field. So the BEAT trial, which was conducted in 2011, showed very good results of bevacizumab. Laser can be done in NICU, in a warmer place. In our scenario in CL Gupta Eye, in the presence of our anesthetist, where the pulse ox is also monitored and the baby is stable. Anti-VEGF injections inside the eye, they are given half the dose under sterile conditions. It is reserved for or pupil is non-dilating. Like Dr. Abhishek has pointed that plus disease baby eyes do not dilate. So these are the conditions where we can give one anti-VEGF, and once the pupil starts dilating, we can add on the laser. Very severe disease, we have to supplement laser later on, like APROP. Injections can buy some time so that the laser effect comes. Prepare the eye for surgery. Some stage 4 and 5 need surgery, so anti-VEGF injections are given prior to surgery. This anti-VEGF has some drawbacks also, as it requires long-term follow-up of at least 1 to 2 years. A rainbow trial recently done showed that ranibizumab is superior to laser therapy, and on September 4, 2019, ranibizumab received approval for retinopathy of prematurity from the European Commission. This trial was done in 26 countries, and it came out to be a very positive result in with anti-VEGF. It showed that the success rate is 80% with anti-VEGF and only 66% in laser group. Unfavorable structural outcomes involves retinal detachment, vitreous hemorrhage, dragging of the fovea or the disc, and this all happened more in cases of laser and less in cases of anti-VEGF. But the point to ponder is that, is it worth taking the risk, because anti-VEGF are associated with cataract formation, endophthalmitis, and the future we don't know that whether there will be a systemic or developmental deformities in these babies or not. Still, as we all know that if there is an effective treatment now, which can regress the ROP in a very good acute regression of ROP, and the main outcomes like safety, dosing, and recurrence can be the concern. So in between ranibizumab and bevacizumab, both we know that have a same action, but the elimination half-life is a few hours in ranibizumab, so it has got lesser systemic side effects. Completion of treatment, we have to look for corneal surface for haze. Sometimes we get corneal edema while giving injection or after laser. So we have to apply some clean and wipe the eyelids firmly using a cotton pad, and do an indirect ophthalmoscopy to look for disc perfusion after giving intravitreal injections. Make the baby comfortable. We are giving all these injections in the sterile condition in our operation theater, and handling over the baby with steroid and antibiotic back to their parents. Signs of regression involves pupil gets dilated well, there is no iris neovascularization, there is clear media. Complication of laser treatment, though they are very less, but it can be lid edema because of the speculum. There can be subconjunctival hemorrhage, or there can be corneal edema. There can be hemorrhage, blood in the anterior chamber, or vitreous hemorrhage. Uveitis is very low. Our experience with anti-VEGF and lasers. So scenario 1, we have a baby here in which we could have given a monotherapy alone, but with a condition that the baby has to be kept on a close follow-up every till 2 years of life. So we preferred anti-VEGF followed by laser. This is a hybrid technique in which a 32 weeks baby came with 1.7 kg weight with zone 1, and few vessels were started on follow-up. We saw that few vessels were going towards zone 2, that is beyond the macular area. But the baby was developing neovascularization, stage 3 ROP. So we preferred the baby to treat with anti-VEGF till the vessels developed to zone 3. And once the physiological development of the retina took place, we preferred to do laser for the zone 3. That is, peripheral area was lasered, preserving the central macular area and a better field of vision for future. Scenario 2. If there is a recurrence after giving one anti-VEGF injection, should we retreat with anti-VEGF or do a laser? As Rainbow trials showed that within 28 days, we can retreat with another injection, anti-VEGF. But in our scenario here, there was a baby with APROP. After giving anti-VEGF, there was a physiological development. Vessels started, ROP started regressing. We saw few signs of like dilatation of the vessels was regressing, and the tortuosity was also decreasing. But after 18 days of first bevacizumab, he had a recurrence. You can see how peripheral neovascularization led to hemorrhage. So here the laser was done 360-degree for both the eyes. In scenario 3, if physiological retina is developed at the time of presentation or during follow-up, then only laser can suffice. This baby was little big, 34 weeks PMA. Zone 3 was avascular, but the baby was getting into plus disease in 2 quadrants, and there was a NVE. So the hemoglobin was also decreasing. Baby came with a higher hemoglobin, but every 2 days the hemoglobin was decreasing. So the baby was referred to pediatrician again to look for it, and baby was advised blood transfusion. So in this baby, we just planned treatment with laser. We just lasered the avascular zone till the aura and covering all the avascular retina. And also we are trusting on our pediatrician that once the hemoglobin stabilizes or improves, this disease will also regress. So both the laser and the systemic condition has to be monitored. So as CL Gupta Eye Institute is blessed with the pediatricians who are referring us for babies for our ROPE project, and this is here 1 month results of our ROPE project, that is retinopathy of prematurity eradication project. We have screened 51 babies till now, and we have lasered 4 babies, and 2 babies we have given anti-VEGF, and none of the baby had major complication. There was just a lid edema in 1 and subconjunctival hemorrhage in 2 babies. During follow-up after treatment, we have to see these babies every 3 to 7 days and retreat if there is an incomplete treatment in 3 days. Like here you can see the laser marks are insufficient. So we have given retreatment after 3 days or 1 week to the skip areas. So whenever we need good outcomes, we have to first screen the baby on time, as Dr. Abhishek has told. If you find the immature retina, then we have to look for active ROP. While following up, only then we can pick up active ROP and we can laser these babies on time, and then these babies get resolved ROP after laser. So in future, they can still have refractive error, squint or cataracts, but the vision can be still preserved so that they can go to school and do their activities. So follow up after regression, 1 week to check for the regression, 1 month to look for sequel, and 6 months with pediatrician to look for any refractive error or squint. For stages 4A, 4B, and 5, that is includes retinal detachment, the final visual prognosis is very poor. Coming to the medico-legal challenges, as we all know that this is increasing day by day, the medico-legal challenges. So ROP having a lot of issues with medical legal, so we have to be on a proper documentation. Recently, there was a case in Delhi in which there was a negligence on ROP screening. The hospital had to pay, the pediatricians also had to pay, ophthalmologists had to pay, and even gynecologists were also the respondents in this case. So this was a Delhi-based hospital doctors ordered pay 64 lakhs for medical negligence. Another case in which the pediatrician did not, here in this Delhi-based hospital case, the ophthalmologist wrote for follow-up, but it was not conveyed to the baby parents. So they didn't come for 2-week follow-up and the baby got blind. This Chennai case, screening. So later on, they have to pay for 1.3 crores. Supreme Court orders that pay 1.3 crores. So we have to save the baby's eye as well as ourselves. So what is about safe practice? We have to counsel, both pediatrician and ophthalmologist have to counsel baby's parents. The hospital staff should be vigilant about ROP babies follow-up and appointments. Even if there is overbooking, there is a doctor is missing or we have to postpone few of our appointments, but the staff has to be told that ROP babies should not be postponed or it should be handed over to other retina specialists. Proper documentation, consent has to be taken from the parents, signed by pediatrician as well as ophthalmologist, and maintain proper record also for future purpose. So without team approach, nothing is possible. We need pediatricians and your support and gynecologists to make the awareness and counsel the babies, because they are the first one who come in contact with the baby and parents. So take home message is screening of a neonate for ROP is a teamwork. A knowledge of classification of ROP cannot help to understand the disease better, but also improve the counseling of child's parents. Please counsel and stress the parents about blindness. In this JAMA Ophthalmological 2018, it was published that both ophthalmoscopy and telemedicine offer similar accuracy for diagnosis ROP. So Trinetra Neo can be a very important tool in screening and going all the way where retina specialists can't reach. Don't miss these. The central, the more severe the disease. So this will need laser or urgent anti-VEGF. In cases of APROP, we have to treat ASAP. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Retina and Pediatric Ophthalmology Department of CL Gupta Eye Institute, all pediatricians in the city who are referring babies, all the premature babies and their parents, Operation Eyesight Universal for their support and cooperation to fulfill our mission of eliminating ROP-related blindness from this part of the world. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Rohini. That was brilliant. And I would like to acknowledge again Dr. Rohini's personal involvement in this project, and she has helped tremendously in the setting up of the project as well, along with her co-consultant, Dr. Abhishek, and also the support of our fellows and the rest of the team. So after this onslaught of knowledge, and everybody has been talking about ROP and what about and how to treat, but there must be a lot of questions from the pediatricians if there are any. Dr. JP Tandon had asked in the chat box, Dr. Rohini, about how much does the treatment cost. So would you like to answer this?
Sir, we are doing laser free of cost for all these babies under ROPE project. But for anti-VEGF therapy, we are costing minimal, that is about 8,000 per injection.
About the screening?
Screening, ma'am, it is free of cost. Sir, it is free of cost. Screening is free of cost.
So that will be for the introductory period for 2 years. And after this period, then we will have to start charging. So as of now, Dr. Pradeep, anything else you would like to ask?
No, ma'am. I think just we have to reach in the surrounding of the Muradabad too, like in the Bijnor, in the Haldani, and in the Bareilly. And I will request Dr. Dutt to introduce by the team of the pediatrician to reach in the Western UP by any means, because these facilities are not available in the surrounding area. So with the help of this Trinetra instrument, we can do a lot, and still there is a need in our area too. So any suggestion from the Dr. Datta regarding the same, how to reach the surroundings?
I think these days the communication is not a problem, and we have to tell all the pediatricians that besides we are doing good, we are preventing blindness, we are doing a nation's work, and it can be problem for a pediatrician if he is not referring, because there was a time in the 80s we used to refer to Aligarh, Pava, Dr. Pava, I think probably he was there. Then that was the only center we had nearby, and still nothing done in these cases. Now we have everything done in our own place. So it's Western UP is not a big area, and I think that we have to communicate with the pediatricians and write them the mails, and the IAP forum WhatsApp groups are there everywhere. So we can put in that, and we can just sensitize the pediatrician. He has no problem in referring. If he knows it, then he will do it, because he has to save his skin also.
There are some questions which have been asked about whether who will be responsible for the success of or say whether we are giving a report that the child is free of ROP based on the screening. So we would like to stress again that the responsibility lies with the institute. So whenever we are giving you a report, it will be through the telemedicine form, where the image of the retina will be conveyed from the trained technician to our retina specialist, who will confirm on the base of the image whether the child is free from disease or not. If there is any bit of doubt, then the child will be asked to travel to the institute. If that is not possible, then maybe we can also arrange for somebody to go and travel, for somebody from the institute to go and travel and check. Without a confirmation, we will not be giving you a report. If the Trinetra image is, that is the RETCAM image, is very clear, only then the confirmation that the child is free of disease will be given, or whether he needs treatment or not. So Dr. Rohini, would you like to add something on that?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to stress that Trinetra Neo has got a very good sensitivity. So the chances of missing by a trained technician is less. There are only few conditions in which we will come to know by the image that the baby has to be called to the institute, and this will be taken care. And Trinetra gives us images till zone 3. So we will be looking for the images till zone 3. So any doubt, the baby will be called to the institute so that we can screen ourselves.
So this is basically for people who are in remote areas, who are not in Muradabad, or wherever where Trinetra image finder will be going. So please do not worry at all. If there is even a little bit of risk, the child will either be asked to travel, or somebody from here will go and confirm. But otherwise, this is quite reliable, and without our technicians who go there will be certified. So we will be giving you a signed report before we charge from the patient. You can give the report that the child is free of disease. So I will again request, if there are any more questions, unmute. So if you can unmute yourself and ask a question to anybody of the panel. That means Dr. Datta, Dr. Abhishek, Dr. Sonali. Any question if you have? Dr. Veenu. So I congratulate everybody again for the tremendous success of the ROPE project, and we hope that this mission of elimination of avoidable blindness in premature babies because of this very, very preventable disease continues to be a success. And we look for your blessings and support in future. So for the last word, I hand over again to Dr. Rohini. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yes, we have a lot of, we are actually dependent on pediatricians that they should be referring us more and more babies so that we are ready to screen them. And there is another question in our chat box is regarding how many treatment sittings are required. See, first of all, we have to finish laser in first go itself on the first day when we have decided. But still, we get some skip lesions which can be treated in 3 days to 11 days time. So we have a time limit for that, and skip lesions can be treated later on. Looking at the signs of regression, and with anti-VEGF, once we have given anti-VEGF, we are following up baby the very next day and in a week's time to look for, and we have seen in 48 hours time, the physiological development has taken place. The vessels which were just in the macular area have gone till the periphery in 48-hour time. So that's why we keep these babies on close follow-up. But yes, they require long-term follow-up of 1 to 2 years. So a retreatment is scheduled within a week or in 28 days time if there is a recurrence.
Thank you, Dr. Rohini. And if there are no more questions, so I would thank all the participants with from the deepest of our hearts. Thank you, Dr. Datta, for your blessings and participation, and thank you all the people who have asked questions and participated so actively in this program. Thank you all once again, and hope to see you again soon in another webinar of RP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Datta. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.